start with the second topic, which is power of the youth. So the empires of the futures will be the empires of the youth, as was said by Vivekanand. You see, oh young friends, come on, step out of your own darkness and be brave. So Swami Vivekanand viewed the youth of India as a strong link to a glorious past and a grand future. He perceived India's Yuva Shakti, energy and innovative spirit as drivers of remarkable transformations for the achievement of India. So basically, the youth of today in India, it was, and you know, Vivekanand died at a very young age. He was in the youth only. He was just 40 plus and he passed away. But he taught many things. He talked about women empowerment. He said, in our society, male, only having males is like having a bird with only one wing. The bird will not fly. So you require both the wings. So the other wing, that is the woman, that is important. So women has to go along with the men, and only then. I don't know how many of you have seen a beautiful video. It was made by Diana. Diana's principles of women empowerment. So if you find time, look up YouTube, something with Diana. If you can open up right now, Diana video is there regarding empowerment of women. And there is a beautiful video prepared by one of the diagnostic thing, Prega News. Now Prega News has come out with a beautiful video which talks about empowerment of women. So sometimes what happens is that videos express the thing much better than the words, and you remember these things. So Prega News video, wherein an aspirant, a lady who became a superintendent of police, IPS, and she gave birth to a child, and she was sitting at the railway platform. I don't know whether any one of you seen. Just look up at the video. It's a beautiful video. And the other is the Diana's words of wisdom, something like that. And one of the first things which Diana says as words of wisdom to the girls, don't be in a hurry to get married. Wait time. Get into a job, become economically independent, and then only marry. It's a very nice video. Anyway, coming. So, India's demographic advantage. So most populous country globally, surpassed China in 2023, most populous, all of you know about it. As per National Youth Policy 2014, persons between the age group of 15 and 29 are considered as youth. Who is considered as a senior citizen? Age? Above 60? 60. So youth population 15 to 29 years, 420 million, which is 29% of the total population, and rural youth are 268 million, 64%, urban youth is 36%. That is the factual position in India. Philosophy behind youth participation. Because youth is the most energetic and potential human resource, not only in the population structure, but also in the social structure. And you know, sometimes I ask this question in the mock interview, and I say that just like a civil servant requires a minimum qualification for appearing at the civil services, graduation, and has a retirement age also, don't you think that the politician should also have a minimum qualification and a retirement age? No. You? Okay, so there are two views about it. Some people say that there should be, but the problem is that the politician occupies the chair of political executive, a large number of them, and they have to bring out new policies, programs, and if they are not educated, they will not be able to appreciate how a policy is made, how a policy is implemented, how a policy is evaluated. Everything they will have to depend on the bureaucrat. So my view is that empowerment of politicians is also equally necessary. And after a certain age, the politician should also retire. It, just like youth has got the energy. But after a certain age, you have to pave way for others to come. Otherwise, the youth will never be able to come. You don't agree? There has to be some age after which, anyway, that's a controversial question. I'm not saying that you subscribe to this view, but I was only trying to say that youth is the most energetic and potential human being, and they are the torch bearers of new ideas, culture and knowledge. They can drive inclusive. What is inclusive? all, all stakeholders, all sections of society. So you must take scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, economically weaker, women, children, senior citizens, handicapped, EWS, taking all of them. What is the slogan given by the Prime Minister? Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. So that is inclusivity. And you know something which I always try to tell the aspirants, whenever you write answers, try to use some of the words which are part of the good governance pillars. So there are 8 pillars. Try to use the words accountability, transparency, rule of law, inclusivity, participatory, consensus building, responsiveness. These words convey much more than a whole sentence. So, and justice and equity and faith and integrity and honesty. There are so many words which are there. So learn these terms and definitions and use them in your answers, in your mains and also in the interview. So rather than, because civil servant who are aspiring, they are expected to have much greater knowledge than an ordinary citizen or pedestrian. So you must learn to use these words and also learn the fluency of speaking. Whether Hindi or English, does not matter, but you should be fluent, or even regional language, because all the languages are given equal weight there. And it is totally incorrect to say that English people have people speaking English, they are only preferred. Hindi speaking or regional, they are. Similarly, rural-urban divide is also not there. Convent educated and government school, there is no such thing. You can, but at the same time, having said that, don't neglect English. English is still regarded. If you are in Indian Foreign Service, English would be required, isn't it? So therefore, English, you try to learn and improve your communication skills, which will always help you out. So a country's and its institutional growth potential is determined by its size, strength and spirit of the youth population, especially of emerging and developing countries. Historically, participation of vibrant young leaders and personalities leading the various movements against the British rule. So from 1857, First War of Independence, to the achievement of India's freedom in 47, youth were the major force, because all these people were very young at that time. Lakshmi Bai, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Bhagat Singh, Jawaharlal Nehru, Subhash Chandra Bose, they were very young, and they actually laid the foundation of our independence movement. They led various social, cultural, religious, political, technological movements, and such as young Derozio promoting the rational and free thinking. So there was a person who promoted rational and free thinking. So their historical significance. So why youth is important in the development of society and nation? At individual level, the youth can be critical thinker, change makers, so they can bring about a change. What is the branch of management which deals with change? It's called change management. Change management means the world is moving so fast that everything needs to change. You need to adapt to that change. For example, earlier the files were all dealt with manually, and then e-office came. You have to adapt to that change. So paperless offices are there. And similarly, there can be many changes, technological changes, like the famous example, is that of a company. The logo of that company, or slogan of that company is connecting people. What is that? Which company? Connecting people. Come on. This Nokia. Nokia. So Nokia, company from Finland. It is, it was, this company started off as a paper and pulp factory. Imagine 1857, if you read history of Nokia, they started as a paper and pulp factory. Very soon, they realized that there was a much greater potential for rubber. So they shifted to rubber. And from rubber, they shifted to computer monitors. Imagine, from paper and pulp factory to rubber to computer monitors, and then cable wiring. And then in 1980s, the top management of Nokia found that there was a huge scope for wireless communication, and they shifted to mobile phones. And they became the world leader in mobile phones. But then something happened. A new managing director took over, and he was complacent. He said, we have already reached the top. We don't have to make any changes in our policy. We have fixed customer base. They will not leave us. And there he was in the wrong. Two technological changes were taking place at that time, which he did not adopt. And Nokia failed miserably. What were they? One was smartphone and touch screen. The second was Android platform. They continued with their Symbian platform, and Android was much more user friendly. So Android was adopted by Samsung, and both Apple and Samsung adopted smartphone touch screen. Nokia did not, went away. So therefore, change, young people are easily can adopt change. It is easier, for example, an aged person to learn computers, but a young person, boy or a girl, is able to adapt to the changes. So, change makers, communicators, they are good communicators. Influencers, young people, they can communicate, they know the language of the other people, particularly the young population. Leadership and innovation. So, innovation, creativity. There are so many innovators which are there. Can you tell me some innovators? Names? One of the great innovators who created Apple, Steve Jobs, and then Gates, again an innovator. Bill Gates, he was. Or the boy who created Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg. So innovation and creativity, young people can think creatively. Leadership and innovation, constitutional morality, we'll talk about each one of them. So at institutional level, political, economic and governance, youth plays a very important part. Development level, the youth enters into politics as what is the first ladder through which youth enters the politics? Come on. The first ladder. The first step to enter politics. Student union in the universities. They join politics there. And then gradually they move up progressively. Okay? So, the political level, economic also, governance, and developmental level, they are responsible for sustainable development. Environmental consciousness is there. I remember I was the collector of Chandigarh, and this younger daughter of mine, one day we purchased ice cream, and I was enjoying my ice cream while we were moving towards the house, and she was driving. Somehow, I don't know what came to my mind, the wrapper of that ice cream, I opened the window and I was about to throw that wrapper outside. And my younger daughter grabbed my hand. What do you think you are doing? Carry it back home. Throw it in your dust paper, dust basket. You can't throw it here like this. Someday, because I'm driving a car, it is say quite late in the night. There is no traffic, and there is a red light which has come. So sometimes there is a tendency to jump the red light. But this girl, she will never jump the red light. And if I am doing it, she will stop me and reprimand me. She said, even if there is no traffic, you have to stop at that red light and proceed only when it turns green. Now, that term is actually a very important term, integrity. That is integrity. Sticking to your values even when no one is looking at you. That is integrity. Okay, so peace, unity, inclusivity, environment, women empowerment, health education, technology. So development level, institutional level, individual level. Youth is important in the development scenario of the society. So let's go one by one. Critical thinkers. That was the first thing, you remember? Critical thinkers. So let's talk about critical thinker. Youth have the capacity to identify and challenge existing power structure and barriers to change and to expose contradictions and biases. Example, student opting for science and arts streams have increased from 31% to almost 40% as per education ministry. So their students are having the capacity and challenge the power structure and barriers to change, and they are moving, having greater scientific temper, which is outlined in the DPSP, Directive Principles of State Policy. So the children of today, the students, the young people, they have the capacity to identify and challenge existing power structures. Archana Soreng, belonging to Khadia tribe of the Sundargarh district of Odisha. Soreng's focus has been to preserve and promote the traditional knowledge and practices of the Adivasi and forest dwelling communities. So they are critical thinking. Armstrong Pame, again a critical thinking. What did he do? Crowdfunding. He constructed a 100-kilometer road in the northeast. So this is how some of the civil servants are doing. And you know, the added advantage is, if you are creative and innovative, Civil Service Day, the Prime Minister awards all such civil servants who perform well, who do some creativity or innovation. So they are critical thinkers, thinking about creativity and innovation. Young people can think big. After some time, because their brain is absolutely fresh, and they are in a position to think of all possibilities. Change makers. Young people have the power to act and mobilize others. So youth activism is on the rise the world over, bolstered by broader connectivity and access to social media. So they can bring about a change. For example, Garvita Gulati, water girl of India, started her youth organization, Why Waste? Focused on water conservation. So they are able to bring change. Greta Thunberg, again, a school-going girl, she brought about a change in the minds of the people. Communicators. Young people can be partners in communicating the agenda to their peers and communities at the local level as well as across countries. For example, Arunachalam Murugananthan, padman, inventor of low-cost sanitary pads. Again, a new measure, you see. So this, they are able to bring about a change. They can communicate with people, okay, and they pass on. They are easily able to communicate with their peers, and sometimes what happens is that an older gentleman perhaps is not able to communicate with the young people because of the generation gap also. But a young man is able to easily convince. So young people have got this created advantage, and that is why we call it as demographic dividend. leadership. When young people are empowered with the knowledge of their rights and supporting on to develop skills, they can drive change in the communities and countries. For example, Kashvi Jindal. You see, one thing you will notice, I am giving examples everywhere. In all papers in civil service, you must supplement your answer with examples. That makes your answer much more impressive, है ना? And very solid. So examples must be given. For example, if I have to give write about accountability, so I will give an example of Lal Bahadur Shastri. Are you aware about who resigned as railway minister? Or if I have to give about integrity, I will talk about T.N. Session. If I have to talk about social justice, I will talk about B.R. Ambedkar. If I have to talk about corporate ethics, I will talk about Ratan Tata. So this is called as linking the various values to the people. It's called value mapping. So you must link the theoretical concepts to examples. And you will find such examples every day in the newspaper. You will find some example or the other by some lady or some gents doing something creative and innovative. So like that Sarpanch who had a selfie with daughter, and it was so viral, everyone talked about it. Okay, constitutional morality. So youth can be an agent of transformation of Indian society into a constitutional value driven society focusing on the ideals of our constitution. So the constitutional morality, scientific temper. For example, scientific temper, Archit Rahul Patil, a class 10 student from Maharashtra, has designed and developed a postpartum hemorrhage cup, which is helping doctors in places like Jalgaon, Akola, Sevagram and Aurangabad prevent maternal deaths. So someone has devised that. The other day one of the persons came and he had developed a patent for a collapsible helmet, and so that which can be carried, otherwise helmet is very difficult to carry. So it was a collapsible helmet which had. So the youth of today is able to think in the lines, they provide leadership, they provide constitutional morality. So scientific temper is part of the DP, the directory principles. And then political. So citizenship, engaging in the democratic process and exercising the right to vote empowers the youth. So more and more people are now coming in the voting age. So they are taking part in the election process also, besides students' election, union elections in the universities also. Okay. So that is the political. More than 2 crore young electors spanning 18 to 19, 20 to 29 have been added to the electoral rolls. Then youth activism. This is an extraordinary potential to transform communities and carries important benefits for those who participate, especially for low income youth and other youth people. So the marginalized people. Sneha Shahi works to increase action and awareness on SDG 6. Again, this is a question which is often asked in an interview. What are the SDGs? What are the MDGs? Huh? Yes. So, and then the question that in which SDG India seems to be doing better, in which SDG is not doing better. Okay. So, you must go through them. You must also go through the indices. So, indices like, for example, Human Development Index, poverty, hunger, yeah, happiness index, yes, and it can be corruption index and so on. So all the indices you should search on the Google and find out Government of India's response to that. In the interview, you will never speak against Government of India. That is a basic thing you must understand. You must give pros and cons. Every aspect has got pros and cons. Some in favor, some in against, two schools of thought. That you should say. That, sir, there are two schools of thought. And when they say, what is your opinion? Then follow whatever has been said by the government of India. Don't criticize government of India. And sometimes the question is asked on issues such as, let me narrate to you, same-sex marriage, marital rape, live-in relationship, period leave. These are all burning issues and questions are asked. Police encounters, bulldozer justice, Article 370, then Sabarimala verdict, hijab controversy, love jihad issue, corruption, reservation policy, demonetization. These are all issues which are burning topics and which can go either way. Some people will say in favor of demonetization, some will against it. So you must say, these are the advantages, these are the disadvantages, they are the pros, they are the cons, and if they persist, yes, okay, what's your view about it? Then follow whatever has been said by the government of India. Because then it will, discussion will end. If you criticize it, someone sitting in the panel may jump at it and start off on a tangent. So this is how personality development and facing the interview, separate classes which I take. Okay, so youth activism, extraordinary potential, carry important benefits to those lower sections, and Sneha Shahi talked about SDG 6, water and sanitation. When we talk about this thing, what is the name of the pillar of good governance which talks about this? Taking people, youth and other people who have been historically marginalized. Inclusivity. Ratan Tata once said that if you want to move fast, go alone. But if you want to move far, take everyone along. Yeah. So economic, innovation and entrepreneurship. Embracing innovation and entrepreneurship fosters economic growth and job creation. By identifying and solving societal challenges, the youth can contribute to India's development. For example, Uday Bhatia started venture Uday Electric to provide affordable bulbs to needy children to study. So that was innovation. Vibrant economy. Youth, Thomas Alva Edison, who invented bulb, he was a very positive attitude, had a very positive attitude. And someone said that you have failed 1,000 times or so. So to which he said, no, I have not failed at all. I have been able to come to the conclusion that 1,000 metals and alloys, they cannot form the filament of the bulb. And therefore he was looking forward and he discovered tungsten then. So this is how life is not hunky-dory. There are ups and downs. You will have. Every one of us has. We pass through good patches of life, bad patches of life. Important thing is get up and start running. Because if God closes one window, it always opens another window for you. I have found this happen with me, with everyone. So start preparing for the civil services, and I can assure you, it may not be that in the first attempt you get IAS, but you may get any other service, and then you take extraordinary leave. Every government, every ministry, for example, the police and the service police, audit and accounts, income tax, customs. So if you get into these services, you can go and take 1 year extraordinary leave. Your seniority is not affected. But 1 year chutti and you prepare for the next service. And then if you get into the next service, then you resign from this service, you join that service. If supposing by any chance it does not happen, your seniority is not affected. So this is what I always like to say, that even if you are down for some time, you are having a bad patch of life, you are not successful, always think it is all for the good. God must have placed some other door open for me. And believe me, people have tried 6 times. 7th attempt, some people have got into that. So there is no problem on that. Once you enter If you enter at young age, then of course there are some advantages. You can reach the top. But at a slightly lesser age, you may not reach the top, but still in the IAS you will be able to reach additional chief secretary, may not reach chief secretary, but additional chief secretary. So therefore, there is no such thing. Vibrant economy, they are the torch bearers of the development of India into developed nation. When they are, when it is proposed to that we should become developed nation, the Prime Minister talked about 2047. And $5 trillion economy also, we talked about. We have reached about 4 trillion. So the $5 trillion economy and most prosperous nation in the world, the youth will have the torch bearers. Work population ratio in the age group of 15-29 now has increased to 31.4% in 2017-18. When I talk about it, again a question which is now being asked, we asked them in the interview, about Narayan Murthy and the chairman L&T. The two statements that came, are you aware?
Yes. 70 or 90 hours.
Yeah. 70 hours, Narayan Murthy said that in a week, all of us must work for 70 hours. L&T went even further, he said 90 hours. Then Anand Mahindra came and he said that it does not really matter, 70 or 90, it's the quality of work that you render. That is more important. Okay, so the work population ratio has increased. Digital future, as per UN, youth are world's most interconnected generation and are at the forefront of digital advancement. 75% of the people between the age of 15 to 24, they use internet, making them a generation of digital natives. So internet, of course, it started with Jio. Jio was responsible for much greater use of internet. And what is that important scheme launched by the Prime Minister for financial inclusion at the lowest level? Jan Dhan Yojana. It is Jan Dhan Yojana and JAM Trinity.
Yes, sir.
So Jan Dhan, Aadhaar and mobile,
Yes,
that was the JAM. Okay. Okay. So institutional level, good governance. Good governance, I already said that there are 8 pillars of good governance. It is a concept which was introduced by World Bank and it was adopted in sub-Saharan countries, African countries, and then it traveled to New Zealand, Australia, and now it is in India also. So youth can be drivers of inclusive and collaborative governance through participatory decision making. Now, there are 2 other elements, participatory and consensus building in the good governance. Can you relate it to some laws which were passed by the government and they had to be taken back? Farm laws. You remember 3 farm laws?
Yes, sir.
So the stakeholders, they were not properly briefed. They were not having trust and faith. So the 2 arms of good governance were not gone through properly. What were the 2 arms? Participatory and consensus building. Now, you know what is participatory? You must understand the basic concepts. So participatory means that all the stakeholders must be involved in the decision making. Yeah, like Switzerland, correct. So India, there are 3 entities which take part in the governance, which should take part in the governance. And often it is said, governance is too serious a matter to be left to the government alone. It's too serious a matter. It should not be left alone to the government, but there should be participation of civil society and stakeholders. What is civil society? Exactly. Huh? Yes, non-governmental organizations and institutes of repute, universities, pressure groups, interest groups, advocacy coalitions, media, they are all. There are 2 types of actors. One is called official actor and the other is called unofficial actor in decision making, in policy formulation. The official actors are Prime Minister, Chief Minister, ministers, bureaucrats, judiciary, legislature. They are official actors. And unofficial actors, in Industries Association, Farmers Union, Labor Unions, media, Peasants Association, Doctors Association, Teachers Association, they are the unofficial actors. So we must involve, in the case of farm laws, probably the farmers were not able to be, one was not able to convince the farmer regarding, and probably a greater exercise would have been better. Okay, so reduction in corruption. Tech savvy youth can leverage technologies such as blockchain, AI, online platforms, social media and innovative applications to enhance transparency, increase access and information, so reduction in corruption. Second is local governance. Young people with local knowledge and interest can act as a cohesive agent in transforming local communities. Again example, K. Lakshmi Lalitya, as a part of the NSS, she undertook wonderful social value events like Swachh Bharat, Jal Shakti Abhiyan. She raised awareness around women's menstrual hygiene and deadly diseases like AIDS, leprosy, TB, filaria, dengue and malaria. Do you know the AIDS, when it had just come, and it was a dreadful disease. Even now it is a dreadful disease, though now they have found some treatment for AIDS also. So AIDS, when it spread, and there was a poll which was conducted in United States of America, and almost everyone said that the AIDS patient should be kept in quarantine, because they said it spreads through touching, using the same toilet seat, and variety of handshake, sharing food. But actually it was not so. But people had this thing. And then a young lady came who went to one of the hospitals in United Kingdom, and without wearing gloves, she shook hand with one of the AIDS patient. And that was indication for the entire world to realize that when that lady, very famous lady, who shook hands with the AIDS patient can do that, it means it is not a communicable disease. Who was that lady? Princess Diana. So Princess Diana was a youth, representing youth at that time. She created this. So influencers. Sustainable development and knowledge. So based society, they will play a unique and important role in the development of knowledge. So just like that, Ek Bharat, Shreshtha Bharat. So that is for sustainable development and knowledge-based society. For example, Upasana started her initiative Go Padhai when she was 16 to support underprivileged schools with resources to sustain quality education. So that was a spread of knowledge which she undertook. Environmental consciousness, adopting practices. You know, there is a beautiful thing available, an article which talks about 1 month if you can change your habits. Every day it suggests one step you take for sustainable development of environment. For example, the men folk, when you shave, you keep the water running. So he said, close the tap when you are shaving. After completing the shave, yes. Otherwise हम लोग नल को टूथब्रश करने के लिए नल का चलता रहता है. Before we go out, and it is very summer, so we keep the air conditioner on. कि लौट के आएंगे तो ठंडे ठंडे इसमें we will be able to sit. But then it is using the energy, है ना? We गणेश चतुर्थी के दिन हम लोग जो है नदियों के अंदर statues कर देते हैं, leads to pollution. So similarly, there were many initiatives which were written there. For example, they said don't use a tissue paper. Use a handkerchief, cloth-made handkerchief. If you go to a mall, carry your own handbag rather than taking the handbag made of paper. You know, there is a place called Panchgani. So I go there to deliver lectures on ethics. And this Panchgani is a place near Pune, and it's a out of the world institution. It talks about morality and ethics. So I go and deliver lectures there. This has got, the land was donated by Panchayat, almost 100 acres of land, and trees were planted. Everywhere you have just trees, and the water they have, they don't use tap water. They have no water connection. All the water is collected into the tanks down, the rainwater. And that water is then treated and given as drinking water. Similarly, electricity. They don't have more than, they only have one photostat machine, because they believe that if you have to distribute material, it should be soft copy rather than hard copy. So they don't encourage photostat machines to be used. They don't even read they don't subscribe to many newspapers, only 1 or 2 newspapers. And they say that ultimately it is paper. Paper means cutting of trees. So environmental sustainability, lot many people are doing. Abid Surti, if you want to see a beautiful video which was made on Abid Surti. Abid Surti, do you know who he is? Abid Surti was a cartoonist, a great cartoonist, Abid Surti. So look up the Google and the water saving campaign launched by Abid Surti. You know what he did? A very, very simple but ingenious thing. You know, whenever the taps, they develop some flaws. उनका जो washer होता है ना, that washer inside, when it is worn out, so water keeps on trickling drop by drop. And we don't pay attention. क्या एक drop ही तो गिर रहा है. But then he calculated that 1 drop of water in a week means so many thousands liters of water wasted. So what he did was, he engaged a plumber, and he went from apartments to apartment, houses to houses, and he used to request and plead with the housekeeper, sir, can we look at the bathrooms, wherever taps are there, if there is a drip of water which is coming down, we will repair it. Sometimes people were very suspicious. They said, who is this gentleman trying to enter our rooms? But then when they saw that the good work that he was doing, he has become a very famous figure, and I think it's called Water Foundation of India, something like that. You should see that video. Similarly, in Sai Baba at Puttaparthi, or which is the other Sai? There are two Sai Babas. One is near Nasik. Yeah. So what happened? Lot of garlands were, every day you get a lot of garlands, and that flower in the evening is totally gone, wasted. So they are incense sticks. Yeah, incense sticks. That is Puttaparthi. Tirupati. Yeah, okay. So Tirupati, so they make incense sticks out of that flowers. So again a very constructive thing. It was again conceived by a lady.
Looking for strong revision, innovative curriculum and dedicated mentoring for the General Studies paper of UPSC Prelims 2025? With only a few months left for the Prelims exam, does the lack of mentoring, robust syllabus and absence of revision strategy make you anxious? Vision IAS has the perfect solution for you. Join the Fast Track Course 2025, covering every aspect of students' preparation including coverage of GS Prelims syllabus, dedicated mentoring and guidance for performance maximization, regular practice with sectional mini tests, access to PT 365 for current affairs preparation, performance assessment and feedback. Available both offline and online. Choose the program mode as per your convenience and excel in GS Prelims with high scores. Admission to the course now open. With UPSC Prelims 2025 knocking at your doorstep. Are you feeling the jitters? Is the vast syllabus making you anxious, and are you struggling to use these last months effectively to revise and brush up your knowledge? Stay calm and take charge of your preparation. Utilize these last months effectively to revise each subject thoroughly with the quick revision classes for General Studies Prelims 2025 starting on 5th February at 1 p.m. These classes offer comprehensive coverage of key subjects and topics for quick revision. Seize the opportunity and stand out in UPSC Prelims with targeted documents like the quick revision module. Commence your quick revision classes for features including thematic coverage of GS syllabus, coverage of core subjects like polity, economy, and more, personalized one-on-one mentoring support, comprehensive and updated quick revision module, integrated assessment and feedback. In these last crucial months, act wisely and choose the smart revision strategy to excel in UPSC Prelims. Your UPSC journey may be filled with challenges, but never find yourself alone in your preparation. March towards mains success with the support of a dedicated mentor, helping you boost your analytical skills, critical thinking, and effective answer writing abilities. A true mentor stands with you, offering psychological and emotional support. Enhance your practice, get strategic revision tips, and enrich your preparation with the Daksha Mains Mentoring Program 2025. Starting from 13th January, benefit from the program offering personalized learning plan based on skills and competencies, enhanced preparedness for GS subjects including essay and ethics, development of advanced answer writing skills, periodic interaction with UPSC toppers for exam insights, brainstorming sessions for improved critical thinking, interactive sessions with eminent educationists. Stop struggling alone and extend your hand towards personalized mentoring for UPSC Mains 2025.
Was in our youth. So, sustainable development, environmental consciousness. For example, Nirvan is using old denim jeans to make sleeping bags for street dwellers to stay warm in the harsh winter. It is called Project Jeans. United Nations states that 10,000 liters of water are needed to make a single pair of jeans, which is essentially water that one person consumes over 6 months. So, the water which is consumed by an average Indian every day, how much is the water? Every day, each one of us consumes, no, it is about 90 liters, if I remember correctly. So, some for drinking, some for washing utensils, some for washing clothes, and some water goes in the kitchen, wasted in the kitchen, some for taking bath. So, it is about 90 liters of water. That is why amongst those things which I was saying, that 30 days steps that you should take. So, the water in the kitchen must be transferred to the kitchen garden. Okay? And similarly, you should try to whatever is you have got, cherish that. Don't need to fill up your wardrobe. If you can do with 2 pants and 2 shirts, then stay happy with that. And such people are called as minimalist. So, minimalist are those people who survive on this. So, ultimately, we have to care about the ecology. And why do we want to purchase more and more? Because we want to show off. We will wear something and Facebook we will put it, look, I go to Navedyam sometime to take food. And before starting the food, the person who is sitting in my front take a snap out of it. He at Navedyam. And as if something great, But people are, crazy about such things. So therefore, what I mean to say is that more and more social media is having its own con, though there are many pluses also. And so youth of today, if we want to take bath, don't use shower. Use a bucket and a mug, because then you will consume less water. Peace, unity, inclusivity and diversity, that is at developmental level. So, embracing inclusivity and celebrating diversity fosters harmony and unity. So, if you include inclusivity, laying the foundation of a strong and more cohesive nation. For example, Jonah set up the Tolerance Academy, a peace building boot camp in Nigeria to encourage interfaith and intercultural dialogue. So, peace, unity, inclusivity and diversity. Many missionaries, they go, young girls, they go to Africa to spread the message of kindness and peace. And there is a beautiful video which talks about these young girls and their mother. A young girl and mother, they went to Africa and she was killed because of a crossfire in a restaurant. So that video, if you find time, it's called Beyond Forgiven, something like that, Forgiven. So it's such a touching story. You will be delighted to read that. So there is a mother and there is a daughter. Both are working in Africa for the poor African people. And there is an African leader who is against white people. So he keeps on inciting the people. And one day in a restaurant, there is a shootout, which has been encouraged by this leader. And in that shootout, her daughter passes away, she dies. And then the mother, she had this animosity against that person. And she said, I will go and meet that person and I will ask him, why did you do that? And then at one of the book release ceremony where that person was invited, that chief guest, he was a prominent African, she went to there. And after the function was over, and people said, people had warned that African that the mother may come and she may create some kind of a problem there. So she goes to meet that African and she says, can you meet me in private? He said, okay. Where? I would like to meet you at church on such and such day. And he comes. And she says only 2-3 words to him. And the words which he said struck him like a bullet. And she said, I forgive you. Now that fellow, he had expected that she would be angry, she would be cursing him because her daughter was gone. But she chose forgiving. I forgive you. And that left an impact on that African leader. And then he started thinking that I was in the wrong. Even if it was for my own people, but killing, violence is not the right thing. And you know what happened then? This is true story. That African then joined hands with this mother. And they set up a foundation in the memory of that girl. And they went from country to country, exhorting people, helping people. So that foundation still works. And imagine two people who were absolutely enemies, and they were brought closer. And she said just one thing, I forgive you. That left an impact in that particular person. So it's called Beyond Forgiven. Beyond Forgiving. Yeah, Beyond Forgiven. So women empowerment, promoting gender equality and women's empowerment is essential. So Advik co-founded Chhalang Foundation with the goal of working on women's empowerment, hunger relief and education. So Chhalang Foundation is again an important NGO. You see, NGO play a very important part in supplementing efforts with the administration. When you will become the collector, so you will be requiring the help of many NGOs, because everything cannot be handled by the government alone. There will be floods. You will require food camps to be opened up. You will require doctors to set up a temporary dispensary at the site. So I used to request Rotary Club, Lions Club, because a large number of them were doctors. They will open up dispensary, give free medicines, food through NGOs, we would distribute food. So all these things, you see, civil service gives you an opportunity to do a lot of good to the people of the country. And I remember, again, from my own career, I joined as collector of Chandigarh in '86, remained there for six years. So when I joined, the first day of my joining, the local member of parliament, he came to meet me in my office. His name was Jagannath Kaushal. He was a very fine gentleman. He had remained governor, law minister, and he came to my office and he said, DC Sahab, aapne aaj hi charge sambhala hai. You have taken charge today only. I am going to a place called Mani Majra. Mani Majra is a part of my Chandigarh. And would you like to accompany me? It will give you an opportunity to meet the people of Chandigarh. I accompanied him. And there on the dais, both of us were sitting and the entire population was sitting there, citizens. And then he got up and he greeted me, and then he said, Bhaiyo aur Behno, he is your new deputy commissioner. And then he turned towards me and he said, DC Sahab, you are a civil servant, you are a public servant. And by virtue of being a civil servant, you have power in the pen. Your pen wields power. You can write on the files to do a lot of good to the people of this country, Chandigarh, because you have power in the pen. And if you do a lot of good to the people of this country, they will give you blessings. And those blessings will be totally free of cost. You don't have to pay any money for getting those blessings. Rather, on the contrary, the government will give you salary also over and above that for getting those blessings. So he said it's a win-win situation. A public servant, civil servant has the opportunity of doing a lot of good to the people of the country, and then as a result he gets blessings. Those blessings come free of cost. Rather, you get salary also. So therefore, working with NGOs and working for the good of the people, the youth, that is why in the entry in the civil services was kept generally young. When I joined, I was 23 years old. Became SDM by I was 25, became collector by I was 29 years old. So catching them young. So civil service also try to enter as quickly as possible, because youth has got that power of creativity and innovation. Health. So youth are physically fit, they can drive health initiatives. So Diva Utkarsh started project Surya to support underprivileged children in Karnataka who are living with type 1 diabetes. So there are many people who have done exemplary work in helping. I remember there was one collector, and it was a district which the temperature in summer season used to go very high. And there was an orphanage there. Small children were there who had no parents, orphans. And it was the intense heat was there. They could have died because of the intense heat. This collector removed all the air conditioners in his office and residence and shifted them to the orphanage, so that there the children, they are in a better congenial climate. So to save them. Now such things, youth can think about these things. So that is the importance of youth in our country. Education. Youth with their ability to innovative ideas can result in the process of education. For example, Ananya Banerjee is a co-founder of project Sushiksha, a free mobile school for rural underprivileged kids. Technology. Zain Samdani developed ExoHeal at the age of 15 years. A therapeutic glove that mimics muscular motion in one limb and moves the paralyzed limb and helps in affordable and effective rehabilitation of stroke paralyzed patients. So that was again an innovation. And in the technology, use of technology. Social. Socialization, youth actions are seen through behaviors and attitudes. Of course, the behavior and attitudes are shaped by socialization and social interaction of youth when they encounter various social institutions. By the way, we catch ethics from different sources. What are the different sources of catching ethics? Which are the sources? There are three main sources. Now tell me, main sources. The sources from where we catch ethics, the parents. One is the parents, the family. The second, educational institutions. And third, society. They are the influencers which influences. And that is why it is generally said, ethics are caught and they are not taught. We catch ethics. If a father, we found that he is honest, the children will also will most likely be honest. If the father is dishonest, there is a possibility that children may also be dishonest. So, socialization, youth action are seen through behaviors and attitudes. Of course, they are through socialization. So, social media use, according to a study, social media platforms have a negative impact on our children's mortality, behavior and educational outcomes. So, they socialize. So, youth actions are seen through behaviors and attitudes. They are of course shaped by socialization. So, the factors affecting youth participation is also social. It may be for the wrong reasons also, but social it is. Caste system. The caste system perpetuates social inequality and discrimination, limiting opportunities for many individuals based on their birth. So, the rigid social structure leads to social fragmentation and conflict, including societal violence. One of the jobs you will have to do is to take everyone along, high caste people, low caste people, all political parties, because you have to be apolitical. I remember, I don't write my surname. My father also didn't write the surname. So I asked my father, his name was Mohan. So I said, why don't you write your surname? Everyone is writing surname, Guptas and Sharmas and Kohlis. Everyone writes the surname. He said, no, you will also not write. I said, tell me the reason. He said, there are three reasons. And he came up with three very cogent reasons. He was a young person when he abolished the writing of the caste. Now, his caste was, which is my caste, surname in a way, it is Mehrotra, Khatris. And he stopped writing Khatris or Mehrotras. I asked him, I said, why did you stop writing? He said, there are three reasons. One, small is beautiful. If I write just Brij Mohan, it's more beautiful. If I write Brij Mohan, Khatri, Mehrotra, it's not beautiful. Small name always is beautiful. So, I don't write my surname. Second reason, the entire malady of our country, to a great extent, the caste system and surname writing is responsible. If you are sitting at an interview and you find that the same caste person is there is sometimes nepotism and favoritism, regionalism. If you don't write your surname or caste, nobody will be able to judge which caste do you belong to, and will take an objective, rational and correct view. But otherwise one gets influenced because he to hamari caste ke hai, inki to karna chahiye. So this is what happens. And third thing, he said, the reason is a practical reason. He said, if I am out of my home and while I am away, one of my friends come to meet me. And then finding that I am not there, he goes away. And when I return back, I ask my servant that, did anyone come in my absence? He will say, Gupta ji aaye the. Now I know at least 6 Guptas. Which Gupta had come, I will not be in a position to know. If it was, for example, Lalit Mohan, if he had written his name, Then he would say, Lalit Mohan ji aaye the. Now I know only one person who is Lalit Mohan. But Guptas, I will be knowing at least 6, 7 Guptas. So I will not be in a position to judge that. So he said, therefore I stopped. He notified in the newspaper that from henceforth, I will not be writing Brij Mohan Mehrotra. My name shall be just Brij Mohan. And then it followed. And my daughters also don't write their surnames. So caste system, the youth, it helps in getting rid of the caste system also. And the traditional joint system and modern nuclear system comes with different values, which affects the youth participation in various development process. So we are talking about the youth participation social. Then tribal system. The tribals are historical backward and are most vulnerable section of society, particularly the particularly vulnerable tribal groups. Religion, according to World Bank, despite India's economic growth since the turn of the century, many young people from religious minority communities have lagged behind in economic gains and access to opportunity. So this is youth participation. If it is not there, it has social repercussions also. There is an unequal progress. So we need to take everyone along. Similarly, there is an urban and rural divide also. And people come to urban area because the education, the health, the housing, the basic facilities, amenities, they are much better in the urban areas. So the youth is attracted to move from rural to the urban. And digital divide, only 33% of the youth are able to transact in online banking. Gender inequality, deeply embedded patriarchal structures and practices have contributed to India ranking 108 out of 193 countries in gender inequality index. So when I was telling you indices, remember these indices, they are very important. And similarly, in the global gender gap index, education shows, UDC, that the dropout rate is still highest at the secondary level with 12.6%, followed by upper primary with 3% and primary with 1.5%. So we are trying to study how the youth participation gets affected socially. Then economic and political. So availability of opportunities, denial of opportunities, and not participating in the formal economic sphere leads to youth idleness and exclusion and has adverse impact. Similarly, in the employment and labor, prolonged unemployment and gap, which I was telling you, that what is the advantage of demographic dividend if you don't get jobs to our youth people? They will become confused. So we keep on telling that you are the strength of the nation, but the jobs are equally important. So when I exhort aspirants like all of you, I always say that keep a plan B also ready. So when you appear at the examination, also appear at several other examinations. I can tell you all banks, probationary officers, very good posts. Similarly, public sector undertakings, whichever where you are qualified, having the qualification. So NTPC, Coal India Limited, NHPC, and then GAIL, these are very good public sector. Then appear at the PCS examination. If you have done law, then judicial pay also. So these are the different, for example, just to give an example, I did not go to a missionary school. I went to Kendriya Vidyalaya, central school. My father was a professor and there was a central school. I studied there. It was excellent teaching there. And then I did not go to any academy to study. Those days we did not, only one academy was there in Delhi. I did not go to any, I did my self-study. So I appeared at all examinations, not only civil service. I appeared in banks, I appeared in ONGC, I appeared public sector and LIC, everything. Got through in all of them, all of them. And once you get one job, then your confidence increases tremendously. So I became, got through in ONGC, got through in United Commercial Bank as a probationary officer. I joined UCO Bank, worked there for 4 months, and then my results came for civil services. And then I took over civil services. So keep a plan B ready. Don't only divert your energies towards this. Don't let the youth years be wasted. Okay? So if you get into one service, your hands are strengthened, then you can try for the next service. So youth are experiencing structural barriers due to which they are prevented from entering the labor market. Developing nature of economy. According to World Youth Report, young people in developing nations face significant social and economic problems. And then inequality. So generational inequality affects youth, which stops them from using their creative abilities and energy. And geographical issues are also there. So a study was done by ResearchGate. Have a look at it. People from the northeast living in Delhi often face racial profiling discrimination. Don't think that the racial thing is not present in India. It may be to a lesser extent, not as much as in United States or United Kingdom, but there is a racial discrimination. So in getting jobs or safe housing, and of course women are always discriminated. And that is why we often say that women are discriminated from cradle to grave. From cradle to grave. So if there is a job, there is a post, then if there are two candidates, one of them a male, other female, then people will generally opt for male. Because they will say, oh, the woman may not be able to give adequate attention because she has other responsibilities and so on. She may not be in a position to go on tours. Of course, these are all things which are humbug, absolutely incorrect. I have seen there are so many leaders, women who have made so big in the corporate world, in the civil service, everywhere women are. Do you know which country has got maximum number of women legislators? Which country in the world has got maximum number of legislators, women? It's called Rwanda, RWANDA, which has got maximum number of women legislatures. Okay, so political. The young adult representation in the Lok Sabha is, a significant decline from 51-52 to 2024 as youth representation index. It has decreased to 41 in 2024 from 156. According to a study in Spain, it is generally found that young people are quite detached from traditional politics. So even though Chhatra Sangh Chunav or student union, their stepping stone hai, but fir bhi, even then, the politicians are generally very old people. That is why I asked that question, should there not be a minimum educational qualification and a retirement age, so that others also come forward. Cultural, materialistic culture and consumerism. The study, there is a modest negative relation between materialism and liking for school and school performance. And similarly, individuation. So youth are detached, have a detached life and trouble in establishing self-identity. And then terrorism, radicalism. You are already aware that a group of Indians joining ISIS have raised concerns about possibility of an increasing number of young professionals. You know that. So many films have also been made where youth have been drawn into the terrorist activities. And that happens because they don't find their channels, another channel to channelize their energy and youth. So that is why it is necessary to keep the young people occupied in something or the other so that they channelize. Naxalism, left-wing extremism, drug abuse. Drug abuse has become very, very common days nowadays. And drug has resulted into crimes being conducted also. So they will pinch something, someone's chain, they will pinch the money bag, they will pinch the car, different accessories. So they commit petty thefts also. So government initiative, you have got National Youth Policy, National Yuva Kendra Sangathan, NYKS. So the goal is to develop the personality of youth and engage them in building activities. So you can write them down, though of course I will be sharing the PPTs to all of you. The second is National Youth Policy in 2024, a very recent ones, which focuses on 5 main areas: education, employment, youth leadership, health and social justice. Then new education policy, you are aware about that. So this encourages a more holistic learning experience. National Youth Corps, the objective of the scheme is to set up a group of disciplined and dedicated youth, so NYC. Then National Young Leaders Program. So this focuses on fostering leadership and innovation amongst young. And then there is National Program for Youth and Adolescent Development. Assistance is provided. And NSS, you are already aware, this is a very common thing. In fact, in all the DAFs, I find that almost 50% of the people, they have done NSS. Some have done NCC also. And a large number of them write that teaching underprivileged children also as one of the hobbies. Entrepreneurship and skill development programs are there. Rashtriya Kishore Swasthya Karyakram is there. These are all public policies. And when you prepare for the civil service, always prepare the public policies. There are 2 things which I would like to recommend. One is called 70 Policies That Shaped India. It's a document available, free download on the internet, 70 policies that shaped India. It talks about nationalization of banks, nationalization of coal mines, many steps, demonetization, GST. In one paragraph, that policy is explained. Read any thin book on public policy. You will be amazed, and you will be able to give excellent answers in the personality test, and also it will have in PubAd also, if you are having optional of PubAd, or even GS2 paper. Public policy, what it is. Okay, and the way forward is participatory structure and capacity building. So technology enabled participation, real-time participation, etc. And acknowledging the youth in social media platform and peer facilitated platform. For example, participation in policy formulation and youth policy consultation in Bahrain. Community youth development model. So there are 6 C's. So youth-led development: competence, confidence, connection, character, caring, compassion and contribution. So they are the 6 C's. Nowadays we have to, slogans, and these have become very, very important. By the way, e-governance you are all aware of. E-governance? What are the 5 pillars of e-governance? All starting with the word letter C. C. Letter C. Not really. Yeah, the first one is computers. You have to have a computer for e-governance. That's the first C. Second is connectivity. So you have to have internet or intranet connectivity. Number 3 is the consumer. Someone has to be there to draw data, to put data, consumer. 4th is content, the data which is to be put into that. And 5th is confidence building, because using e-governance builds up lot of confidence, because manual intervention is not there. So they are the 5 pillars of e-governance. So this was the 6 C's. And 3 lens approach to youth participation. Development assistance should work for the benefit of youth, and this is an assets approach to youth participation to mobilize individual or group talents and strengths. So educational focus: equity, building system capacity to include youth from all societies, rural, urban, and all people, different communities, different religions. Employability: they should focus on gaining employment. Without employment, an empty mind goes in all wrong directions. Excellence: the focus should be on striving to excellence, particularly education, so that nation can achieve more as depicted in the fundamental duties of the Constitution. In fact, fundamental duties and directive principle of state policy, they are the two things which have not been given so much of attention till now. And sometimes it is felt that they should also be converted into rights also, some of them. So ethics, ethical code of conduct, ethics has to be followed. Entrepreneurial development and skill development. Promoting health and healthy lifestyle. Remember one thing, there are 6 quotients which are required for overall development. The first quotient is called, 6 quotients are there. The first quotient, which will help you in getting through the civil services, which is that quotient? IQ, intelligence quotient, that is the most important. That will help you in getting through civil services. The second is your success ultimately in your career. That will come from another quotient, emotional quotient, EQ. The third quotient is PQ, which is physical quotient. Must do some exercise, running, gym, to keep yourself healthy. A person who is not physically fit or healthy, he or she will never be given positions of responsibility. Because your boss will say, oh, he remains sick at all times. So give him a sidey job. So must keep it every day, 10,000 steps. You know, wearable technology has come nowadays. I'm sure all of you will be wearing a watch now. So you must do 10,000 steps every day. Fourth quotient, social quotient. Social quotient means remaining in touch with your school friends, college friends, neighbors, and distant relatives, which I told you that they are vanishing. We don't know who is Pupa and who is Pupi and who is Bua and who is Chacha and who is Chachi, Tau and Tai. These relations we are forgetting. Social quotient. Then spiritual quotient. Spiritual quotient means ethical. Try to help others. Do good to others. So that comes out from inner self. You remember during demonetization, during COVID-19, there was a lockdown, and youth, the labor force from Kerala and Tamil Nadu, southern part of the country, who belonged to Bihar and Uttar Pradesh, they traveled on foot because there were no trains, there were no buses, and they had no shelter, they had no food, they had no transport, and people came out in large numbers to provide them food. Sonu Sood was there, he also, now, yeah, those people who were walking on foot, were they related to us? No, sir, they were not related, and yet we came out in large numbers because our spiritual quotient went up. So try to help others, remain ethical, and see the joy you will get. The person to whom you will do good will also feel joyful, and you will also get joy. And the last quotient is called AQ. It's called adversity quotient. So life is not hunky-dory. There will always be ups and downs. You have to get over the downs. So how to meet adversities in life? COVID-19 led to many depressions in the people. Some people committed suicide also. So how to get over the failures? That is measured by the adversity quotient, which should be high. So I will end this. So promotion of social values, community engagement, sit together, community, increased participation in politics by the young people. Enable inclusion. So females, Dalits, all the people should be taken together. And social justice. So you must practice such social practices which are fair, they promote social justice. So that was the youth, what youth can do. So if you have any questions, you can ask me about any aspect of civil service. We will devote 5 or 10 minutes on that. If you have any questions about civil service, the bottom line is you are a part of the youth. You can do a lot of transformation in the country. Don't underestimate yourself. And a large number of you saw that NGOs, they are doing good work because youth is there. And secondly, social media, use it for such purposes which do not actually result in personal promotion, but they are a learning platform for you to learn more and more knowledge. So that's all about the two topics. If about civil service you want to ask me anything. Quotient. A quotient is a measure. So for example, the emotional intelligence is a concept. The emotional intelligence is measured in terms of emotional quotient. Academic intelligence is measured by intelligence quotient. For example, Einstein's intelligence quotient was about 165. That was a very high intelligence quotient. So quotient is a measure. So all these emotional intelligence, then academic intelligence, technical intelligence, they are all measured in terms of quotients. Psychologists, that is why psychologists are made to sit in the interviews. They measure the emotional quotient. Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah, you wanted to say something. Please don't enter into civil service. Negative things, nothing. And you know, people will tell you all kinds of things. And you know what they will tell you? They'll say, there's so much of interference by the politicians. You are made to do wrong things. It is all humbug. Nothing like that happens. And let me tell you one more thing, which you will not hear from others. Politicians are very good people. Very good people. And if they find that you are a person of integrity, honesty, hard work, efficiency, they will never trouble you. They will always be helping you out. Many times it happened that my minister got angry with me. I went to the chief minister and he took my side. He did not take side of the minister. So you will find that civil service does not have anything negative. Yes, it is transferable, but then in any job transfer is there. There is so much of protection to the civil servant. Article 311, you cannot be removed from the service. It can only be done in a very, very difficult situation, like you can be only after a due inquiry, and that too by the President of India. Nobody less than President can do that. During probation, you should be careful. For example, Pooja, it was probation, and her services were terminated because you don't have to carry out any inquiry. So that was a very good question you asked, and I would not like to go by those people who discourage people to enter civil service, saying civil service is bad, civil service is full of pressures, your health will go down, the politician will ask you to do wrong things. If you are not doing wrong things, no politician will say to do wrong things. And then there are many checks and balances. Just to narrate, I will just take one more minute. I was the collector of Karnal. So the chief minister, he was a very good man. But chief minister, being a chief minister, you know, generally it is said the three people in lighter vein, three people rule the country: the PM, the CM, and the DM. DM is the civil servant, PM and CM are the political executive. So the chief minister rang me up. He said, DC साहब, वो एक particular community है, तो उस community को land की आवश्यकता है. They want land, and the local MLA, who is a 5 times MLA, he is a minister now, he is pressurizing that particular a piece of land which he has pointed out, this may be allotted to that community. Now, when I found, I didn't say no. I didn't say no, because he was talking on telephone, and I knew that MLA must be sitting beside him, and maybe the mobile may be kept on speaker mode. So if I say no sir, it can't be done, it will humiliate the chief minister, because the minister will say, देखिए आप collector भी आपकी बात नहीं सुनता है. So I didn't want to do that. I have to ensure the respect of the chief minister. So I said, sir, I will have a look at it. I'll come back to you with a proposal. I didn't say it. He said, ठीक है. Now that piece of land was adjoining another piece of land in which already another community, and these two communities were always at loggerheads. They already had that land and an institution had been built up, a religious. And this community which was wanting this land, they were always in contrast with that. Always. There will always dispute amongst the two. So if I allotted that land, it will become a permanent place for dispute. Every other day I will have to enforce 144. उधर से कोई procession लिख लेगा, ये लोग नाराज हो जाएंगे, उधर से कोई निकलेगा तो ये नाराज हो जाएंगे. But I didn't say no. Then what I did? Next day I called the SSP and I said, कोच साहब वो CM साहब का फ़ोन आया था, उस ज़मीन को अलॉट कराना चाहते हैं. कहने लगे भी पर आपको तो पता ही है उसके साथ में तो दूसरे धर्म की ज़मीन है और ये तो हम लोग तो चले जाएंगे, बाद में परमानेंट ये प्लेस बन जाएगा कॉन्फ्लिक्ट का, तो यू शुड टेल द चीफ मिनिस्टर. मैंने कहा ठीक है. I rang up the private secretary to the chief minister. The chief minister sits either in Chandigarh or in Delhi. Delhi mein we have a Haryana Bhavan, so he has got a CM suit there. So I rang up the private secretary to the chief minister and I said, CM साहब कहाँ है? He said, दिल्ली में ही है. तो मैंने कहा उनसे मिलना है, टाइम दिलवा दो, फिक्स करो, कब आना चाहते हैं? मैंने कहा मैं भी आऊँगा, SSP भी आएंगे, लेकिन हम तब मिलेंगे जिस समय कोई और ना हो, और जितनी जल्दी मिलवा दो उतना अच्छा है. The earlier the better. Now every chief minister has got a way of working. Some people's mood is very good in the morning, but very bad in the evening. Some people very bad mood in the morning, but very good mood in the evening. So the emotional intelligence plays a very important part. You should be able to assess the emotions of others, so that a better relationship is developed and you get success. So I told the PS, I said, अर्लीस्ट टाइम दे दो मॉर्निंग का, हम लोग सुबह सुबह जल्दी चलेंगे. कहने लगे सर कोई बात नहीं, 6 बजे आ जाइए सुबह इन दिल्ली. करनाल वॉज 2 hours away from Delhi. So I and SSP sat in the same car and went towards Delhi, reached Haryana Bhavan, and we entered the suite, CM suite. The private secretary received us. तो कहले हाँ सर तैयार हैं, आप मिल लीजिए, नाश्ता कर रहे हैं. So we entered the room and that CM was very fond. धोती पहनते थे, धोती कुर्ता, immaculately starch लगी हुई धोती पहने हुए थे, बैठे हुए थे, नाश्ता कर रहे थे. आइए आइए, अरे कैसे आना हुआ आप दोनों का अचानक, क्या हो गया, नाश्ता करेंगे? करा दीजिए सर. नाश्ता करने लगे. एंड देन इससे सब ठीक चल रहा है? हाँ बिल्कुल ठीक. अब बताओ कैसे आना हुआ? मैंने कहा सर वो आपने एक लैंड अलॉटमेंट के लिए कहा था. तो सर लैंड कैन बी अलॉटेड, ऐसी तो कोई प्रॉब्लम है नहीं, कैबिनेट डिसीजन हो जाएगा, लैंड विल बी अलॉटेड. बट देयर इज समथिंग विच आई वांटेड टू रन इट पास्ट यू. ही सेड हाँ बोलो. सो आई हैड कैरीड द रेवेन्यू रिकॉर्ड आल्सो विथ मी. सो आई लेड द रेवेन्यू रिकॉर्ड बिफोर हिम एंड आई सेड सर this piece of land, there is a religious place already, and you want to allot just adjoining place to another community, another religion. They will be permanent loggerheads. बाद में आने वाले DMs और SP हम लोग को blame करेंगे, आने वाले chief ministers आपको blame करेंगे. तो he said, भाई वो बहुत ज़्यादा pressure है उसके बारे में, the local MLA, and he is a very senior minister. I said, sir, I have got a solution. क्या है बताओ? I said, sir, there is 1 mile distance. There is a much better land available belonging to the panchayat. And I have convinced the panchayat people, they will sell that land to the administration. With a whatever price, we will compensate them. That land is away from this religious place. Let us allot that land to them. It will ensure that no dispute happens later on. He looked up. And then he said, all right, prepare land records accordingly. I will tell the MLA that we are giving him another piece of land. That was the end of it. I never had any problem. The only thing is, when someone is corrupt or someone buckles down under the pressure, someone does not know emotional intelligence, then he is in trouble. Civil servant learn these techniques very quickly, that how to handle political bosses. And again I would reiterate, don't go by the people saying politicians are bad. Politicians are very good people. They are much better than some of the senior officers. They never keep anything grudge, no grudge. Very soon they will forget. I remember there was an SSP who arrested one chief minister. When he became the chief minister, so he was arrested when he was not the chief minister, he was an MLA, he was arrested by that SP. So there, that MLA then became the chief minister who was arrested. And now naturally this SP now felt, कि अब तो आते ही मेरे ऊपर तलवार गिरेगी. Yes, he was in a sideline post for a few months. But then CM realized that he is a competent officer and he posted him in one of the very good places. So this is how I say civil service is always the best service. Don't worry about this. The challenges that you will feel, you will be able to write a book after you retire. It is always going to be such a part of your life that you will cherish in your second innings. Okay? Thank you.